Exclusive new details on AM this morning from our Newshub political editor Jenna Lynch. The Stuart Nash investigation has turned up another donor issue, but it is being disputed by another senior minister within Labor. Joining us this morning is our regular political panel, Labor Minister Michael Wood and National MP Erica Stanford. Good morning.
Morning, Ryan.
Good to see you,
Good
Michael,
to be here, Ryan.
Can I say? So do you know anything about this report, investigation?
Your story is so exclusive that the first I've seen of it is your exclusive story about 10 minutes before we came on the show this morning.
Fair enough. So you didn't even know it was coming out?
Not this morning, no.
OK. I can't really ask you much about it then. Do you happen to... Well, what I can ask you is whether you know about this issue with Stuart Nash being the minister responsible while one of his mates and donors was appointed to a taxpayer-funded job, and another minister being involved with the employment process. Do you know anything about that?
It's not something I'm at all familiar with. All I've seen is the story this morning, which does confirm that Stuart Nash in that process recused himself from being involved. But beyond that, I don't have any particular awareness of the situation. OK,
all right. Let's talk about some more important things then, shall we? Let's start with education. We've got this huge NCEA rollout happening next year for NCEA Level 1, so people watching at home who've got kids going into fifth form, into year 11. This is going to affect them. It is due to happen next year. We had the Minister Jan Tinetti on our program this week, and she didn't rule out it not happening. The teachers are striking in part because it's happening and because they don't have enough resources. Take a look at what happened this week. We had Jan Tinetti on the program. We also had the PPTA. For advice on whether you should delay the Level 1 implementation next year.
No, I haven't asked for that advice yet, but I'm always open to that if the case of the integrity cannot be maintained through all of this. But I haven't sought that advice yet because I have been told that integrity is being maintained to the qualification at this point in time.
Adequately resourced and delayed for a while, or maybe for another year, the NCEA Level 1, would that help with the teachers striking?
Yes, because in actual fact, one of the things that is key to why we are striking, why we are doing industrial action at the moment, is recruitment and retention of teachers, and it's about the sustainability of the workforce and the workload.
Erica, your Education for National, what did you make of that?
I thought it was incredulous that she said on your show, I haven't sought advice on that. When you had the largest high school in the country, Rangitoto College, coming out and saying, this is a complete schmozzle. We are actually going to pull out of it and have our own Rangitoto diploma because this has been such a terrible process and the robustness of the Level 1 is now compromised. They pulled out. When that happened, she should have been asking questions. We're in June, for goodness sake. This is happening next year. And I can tell you that what's sitting in behind all of this, yes, it is a lot of change for teachers that they're not ready for. But the big thing in all of this is they have not done the curriculum. They did the tests, the standards, they put those in place first before they wrote the curriculum. It's completely horse before cart, right? And so that's why they're having to delay it.
Minister, what is this going to be delayed or not? I mean, it's nearly the middle of the year. It's a lot of uncertainty, not just for the teachers, but for the parents and the kids. What are they going to learn next year?
Yeah, it's really important that we do get certainty with this. It's important to note that the way that NCEA has been developed in this refresh has been done with the sector and with experts. So across all of it, whether it's the assessment or the curriculum, it's not the government imposing it. It's something that's been developed with the sector. And the whole set of changes effectively roll out up until 2026. So it's about how you phase it in, it's about how you implement it in a way that's manageable. And what Minister Tinetti's been indicating here is, let's just make sure that before we do confirm that and put it in place, that we do have confidence that it will be rolled out well.
So this is what I suspected earlier in the week. You guys are buttering us up for a delay here.
No, that's not what I said.
Well, you said we need certainty.
Whenever you make a big change like this, whether it's in the education system or any other system, there's what you're rolling out and then making sure that it will roll out well, particularly in a complex system. And that effectively is what the Minister is saying, that she just wants to be assured that as it's rolled out, it's done well. It would be better to do that.
But where's
better to measure twice and cut once.
Yes, but where's the line in the sand? Because we're on a short runway to next year.
Yeah. Oh, look, we know that's important. And look, I've got kids who are going through the secondary school system, so you know that you want to have that certainty well ahead of that year, and I'm sure the Minister will provide that soon.
Oh, okay. So there's an announcement coming soon.
No,
You've spoken to Jan, haven't you?
No, I haven't specifically, but as I say, as she indicated, there'll be certainty relatively soon. We know that's important.
The government have no choice on this. They have no choice. And we've been saying for some time they have to delay it. And if you want a bipartisan approach, here we're offering to say, actually, we will support you in this. It has to be delayed. There is really no choice for the minister.
All right. Muruwai, let's talk about that, because you had a meeting last night with residents there, and we spoke to one resident there, that was Muruwai resident Caroline Bell Booth, on the program yesterday. Their big concern is your insurance money's about to run out for accommodation. You don't get a payout yet. Take a look.
The conversation becomes, can the government support us from that point until we get to buyout resolution? Because at the moment, most of our community is looking at reaching bankruptcy before we get to buyouts.
You're going to let them go bankrupt, Minister?
We certainly don't want that happening. It was really good last night to meet with Carolyn and a lot of other residents there, face to face, just to hear how it's been and to make sure that we know everything that's going on from people so we can provide the support. The key things here are, firstly, that we have provided the certainty there'll be a buyout process now, and the government's going to support councils to do that.
But until we get there...
Yeah, and the issue that Carolyn and others were raising there then was, how do we get through that period? Now, we've provided a lot of support through what we call the temporary accommodation service, which has provided additional places for people to stay, and in some cases additional financial support to help people get through.
That runs out too, right?
Well, no, that's still there. What's mainly been talked about by the residents here is that many of them received insurance support for their accommodation for a period of time, and that does begin to run out at different times for different people.
From July.
In the second half of the year. Yep. So the indication from residents was from July, a small number of people begin to find themselves in that situation. So ministers have asked officials to get some advice in front of us pretty quickly so that we can make sure that we understand that situation and we can look at the best options to support.
Caroline is one of those in that situation. You're going to be faced with your mortgage that you're still paying on in your house you can't live in, plus then trying to get pay rent or whatever it is. Will you make a commitment this morning that the government won't leave those people high and dry, that they won't be left trying to cover both until a payout happens?
Yeah, well, look, we've been consistently supporting those people. We've got to get the advice in front of us and choose the best option.
But is that your intention?
I've given a clear commitment to those people when I met with them in the room last night. We focused on this, we're getting the advice in front of us, and I'll be going back to residents to talk about the next steps when we have some.
Okay, so that's your intention, is to make sure that they're... Okay. All right, well, that's good. That will be some relief to them. Can we talk a little bit about your whole airport shares thing, because we haven't seen you since, and sorry, Erica, to just...
No, that's I'm happy for you to speak about that.
But like, what happened? Like 12 times? What really happened? Because, you know, you're a smart guy, you're no fool. You said to Jacinda Ardern's office that you were doing it and you weren't doing it. What was going on?
Look, this is an issue that I really, really profoundly regret. For me, being in politics is a real calling, and politics is about making life better for people. And so this episode arising and giving an impression that it might be about other stuff is something that really cuts to the core for me. So I feel terrible about it. The issue here was that I didn't get on to selling the shares as quickly as I should have. I told Cabinet Office on day one that I had them, so there was no hiding that. The issue is I didn't get on to selling them as quickly as I could have.
Yeah, I know.
I started that process last year and didn't finish it. The best way that I can describe it is kind of like, imagine you're at home and there's a job that you've got to do around the house. Maybe it's fixing a little hole in the roof or an outdoor light bulb or something. You know you've got to do it. It's on your list. Every weekend you sort of think, I should get on to that. And other stuff keeps coming up and you never quite get there. And in my job, which is a large job, big reform agenda, legislation, trying to keep things going, finding a bit of time for family, I knew I should have done it. It was there. And it just sort of getting put off. Now, that's not an excuse. I take responsibility for that.
I can relate to that.
I didn't get it right.
I get parking tickets.
That's the reason, effectively.
I get parking tickets, and my partner says, pay the parking ticket. And I'm like, yeah. And then you get a letter from Bay Corp, and then you pay the parking ticket, like a warning, you know?
Yeah.
So that's how it was for you. Even though it wasn't your partner, it was the Prime Minister's office that you were saying you'd get it done.
And it wasn't a light bulb.
And it wasn't a light bulb. It was airport shares worth 16 grand.
And at that time, we did have a process underway to sell them. Didn't get it done. Look, it's been a huge lesson for me about the importance of these things. I obviously have sold them now. The money's gone to charity, so there's no perception that I've gained from the process.
Erica, do we just let this go now? Let him off?
Oh, look, I'm not going to say anything about Michael particularly because, he's right here. But I did that last week anyway. But look, more broadly, it's really important that the Prime Minister has trust in his ministers because in the end, the ministers serve at the pleasure of the Prime Minister. And actually, of late, the Prime Minister has not been placed in a pleasurable position. Certainly by Michael. So
that's a word to the face.
Prime Minister, I have a.
Didn't quite come out.
We do have a good and close collegial relationship, but we've never quite gone that far.
Glad we cleared that up. Well, this whole thing's been awkward, hasn't it? From a while ago.
And with that image, we'll leave you. Labour Minister Michael Wood, National MP Erica Stanford, 18 after 7.